Good morning, everyone.
Back and better than ever.
Yes.
Look at this. Back together. Here we go.
I know.
Okay, so you guys do keep doing podcasts without me. Fine, all right. That's it. I get the message. I'm like the weak link in this trio. I understand that.
No.
Okay, all right.
Far from that.
All right.
Far from that.
Anyways.
You're the guest. You're like the main attraction.
Main attraction.
You
main
are.
attraction. Where no one goes to in the amusement park. It's too dangerous.
Yeah.
Most importantly, though, I've been texting Oren since our episode with him and asking him about certain books I'm thinking about reading, if they're worth reading or not. So I think he's quickly regretting. Yeah, he's quickly regretting coming on the show because now I'm bothering him.
Oh, no.
No, Todd, actually, because you missed that episode where we interviewed Oren Kessler, I want to give you his book because I think you should read it. It's really good. Palestine, 1936.
Okay.
A really good book. I'll give it to you to read.
Okay.
Yeah.
I used to borrow books from my father. Now he takes
That's
my
exactly the
books.
opposite, right?
I know. It's great.
Right.
It's great.
So-
So you just got back.
I just flew in from New York, and boy, are my arms tired.
I know.
An oldie but a goodie.
We were in New York together just for a couple of days. We overlapped our trips. I was there before you, and then we were there for a few days together, and then you stayed for a whole week. And I don't know, I want to ask you this, and then I want to talk a little bit about the reason you were in New York for longer. But there's something really interesting about going back to Brooklyn, just as a Orthodox Jew, as a Chabadnik, being in Crown Heights. I was telling, I don't remember who, but I was saying that I feel almost like a return, coming home, comfort, being in Crown Heights, walking in the streets. But I also feel so alienated in a way because I live such a different life being in Long Beach. And I don't know, I just feel like these two feelings at the same exact time when I'm there. I'm curious if you feel that way.
I don't
also
feel the alienation.
No,
I don't feel alienated. I feel, it's like, you're coming back to a place where you're comfortable.
Yeah.
You've been there. You know what's going on. The convenience is unbelievable.
I know.
I mean, if you're an Orthodox Jew, it's incredible, the convenience being in Crown Heights. The pace of New Yorkers in general is different than our pace. Everything is very rushed. Everything is moving. I mean, especially over this weekend where there were thousands of visitors there. Every store was crowded. Every store. I mean, it's just.
Yeah.
It's like I went in, just to give you one example. I went in to get some food. I went into this place called Wholesome Bagels. I wanted a couple of sandwiches for the flight. Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the guys behind the counter were screaming at the customer. The customer was screaming at the counter guys. Everyone trying to cut in line.
Yeah.
You couldn't make an order except they got fancy on these kiosks.
Oh, yeah.
These little computers. You have to make the things. French guys couldn't read the English. English guys couldn't read the French. Every Israeli tried to say, no, I want to order from you. The guy was screaming, no, only on the computer. And then I'm standing there. They lost my order.
Oh,
I was
my
standing
God.
there, and the poor guy was saying to me, why are you standing here? I said, I'm waiting for my sandwiches. The guy screaming, is Abba's sandwich is ready? And we don't have Abba's sandwiches, but I paid for it online. And it was just, so that's an experience in and of itself. I just wanted, I stayed longer because of the Chabad Rabbis convention. So I just want to give 2 points about the highlight for me was the banquet on Sunday night. Now imagine this: you're going into the New Jersey, whatever they call convention center in the Edison, New Jersey. It's a huge, huge hall. I mean, it's about 6,000 people there. 5,000 of them are rabbis. 1,000 maybe are guests and supporters of Chabad. Of the 5,000, 4,200 suffer from ADD. Okay, so imagine trying to seat 4,200 people with ADD. Have you ever gone to a convention where the seats have seatbelts? That's what a Chabad convention is like. You sit down and please buckle your seatbelt so you can sit for more than 3.5 minutes. And I'm a sufferer from that.
Yeah.
I mean, I sit there for 10 minutes. I can't. I mean, I got to be moving the room. And, and they're begging you, please, everyone sit down. The program's about to start. Please sit down. Okay, that's one thing. The second thing is they had this thing, what they called a VIP section. Now, sometimes you have a VIP section. You're closer to the stage. You pay a little extra money. You get a better seat. But this time they roped it up with these velvet velvet things that you cordon off the VIP section. And so, okay, that's fine enough. But then they had guards. You couldn't enter into that VIP section. No. So now why, I was thinking to myself, why would you make a VIP section?
Yeah.
Because you have people in there that don't want to be bothered.
Right.
Right? Unless you have a celebrity that comes in, he doesn't want 5,000 Chabad rabbis crowding around him.
Okay.
I swear to you, okay? I shouldn't swear, but I'm affirming, okay? I'm affirming that if Jay had been there, and Jay's a well-rounded person, he knows the culture pretty well. You know, he doesn't live in, okay, he lives in Rhode Island, but even Rhode Islanders, you know, get television and every once in a while. If I would have said to Jay,
we actually just got it last year.
I'm telling you, it's a black and white or color. And you get color. You know,
I mean, it's still black and white. I mean, give us a break. We're not.
If I would have taken Jay to the VIP section, and I would have said to Jay, I'm going to give you $100 for every person that you recognize in this VIP section. Okay, I'll give you $100 for any person that you recognize here. This is what we call hubris, an overextended sense of self-importance to block off because you paid $180, you know, so you can sit there and. They had rich people. I'm not saying that. There's this guy, Igor Bolablovsky or something like that, who's probably a billionaire, you know, off Putin or something like that. You know, so they had him there. I swear to you, no one in the world knows who this guy is. Okay? He comes with a black hat. He has a beard. He
looks like anyone.
He looks like anybody, okay? Unless you're talking about Rabbi Krinsky and Rabbi Kunin, who are like international superstars, celebrities that people are like rushing over, you know, to meet Rabbi Yisrael Darren, who was sitting you know.
Wait, so front. Are you just upset you weren't in the VIP section? Or
I would try to get in there. They wouldn't let me, and I said, "Look, I'm in this business 40 years. I'd like to sit on table, you know, A1." No, you can't. It's for VIPs only. You can't. Yeah, as if I couldn't open up the velvet rope
and
somewhere and walk in from down there. Okay. That
is hilarious.
But that's just me. I'm sure most people didn't think about this.
Were there any big names, like any big,
yes, of course,
congressmen?
Yes, there were. George Clooney was there.
Yeah,
Larry Bird from the Boston Celtics was there. LeBron and his entourage came with Rabbi Pinto, you know, to sit there in the front row. Kanye Yee, you know, because he repented now, so he showed up. Donald couldn't make it, but Donald Jr. was there. Donald Jr. with Guilfoyle or whatever her name was.
They broke up already.
They broke up already, but she still was there and tagging along with him. Yeah, these were just a few. These were just a few. They weren't even in a VIP section. People I mentioned weren't even allowed in. The true VIPs were there. The Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, MBS.
Before he went to Trump, he had a seat for himself.
That would be a coup. Could you imagine if MBS showed up at the
that would be something
convention?
Yeah.
that would be hilarious.
Yeah, that would be wild. That would be wild.
People in Saudi Arabia were going, "What? The guy doesn't even show up to our conventions.
Yeah,
he shows up to the Chabad Rabbis convention."
But it is pretty astonishing when you look at the pictures of. I mean, you know, the big one that goes around all over social media is the picture of the rabbis outside of 770.
It's crazy.
It's crazy, and like
it is nuts.
It's just so interesting to see.
And they do it simply. The Rebbe wanted a picture, you know, so they keep doing it every year. Because in truth of the matter, with AI today, you could insert anybody in there. I mean, you know, you don't need this picture, you know. But it's just very interesting. I got there early because I wanted like a spot where I'm not standing high on the bleachers. Yeah. Even there, they have VIP section too.
Oh.
Yeah, the front row. We call it the Politburo. Who gets to sit on the front row and who doesn't get to sit on the front row? I'm not a pusher, so so I came early. I got my place standing in the like second step on the bleachers because in case I fall, I'll only break my leg, not like not be permanently paralyzed.
Oh my god!
Okay. By the time the picture was taken, I was squashed.
Oh my god! I
was like squashed together.
I can't believe you're in it. I'm so proud of you. Usually
I blow it off.
I know.
Yeah, because there's no way of knowing where you are.
I know.
But me and Levi were analyzing it. I am behind a guy's shoulder.
Oh.
There is a guy that's blocking half my face with his shoulder. So I'm squashed between an Argentinian and an Israeli. That I did know. Like,
but wait, does Rafi get to sit? I'm just curious.
No, so Rafi doesn't even come to the picture.
Oh, he doesn't? Rafi is my father. I posted a picture of you guys actually on our social media. Rafi is my father's best friend.
He did the best. He took a 6:00 flight from Florida, got into New York about 8:30, went to the Ohel, then came to Crown Heights. We got on the bus together to the thing. He left in middle to get to the Newark airport. And went
way.
Home.
Oh, that was it?
So he was in New York for all of them, maybe, 10 hours, 6 hours.
But my question is, when do you and Rafi, I mean, you're both, turning a big number this year.
Listen,
if you wanted, could you get a seat? That's what I'm wondering.
Maybe if I really begged Mendel Kotlarski and bugged them and called them all year and said, hey, you know what? I may not get front row, but there's two
like
rows.
A few rows.
Few rows of seating. I probably could finagle maybe a seat over there. Maybe.
I feel like it's time. I feel
But you wouldn't see me if I sat in the second row, so I'm behind everybody.
Next year, you're going to take an education sign and hold it up.
I'm not, though. I'm wearing a yellow hat.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to wear a yellow hat with a big banner.
So I was going to ask you this question. You know how there are athletes who, some athletes are really into fashion and they kind of peacock and they stick out and they wear like the big crazy hats.
Only they can wear that, believe me.
Or whatever. Is there anything that Chabad rabbis do when you're in a big group to try to stand out? Like who is the fashion rebel in the group?
Absolutely nobody. Everyone is either in a blue or black suit with a tie and a black hat. That's the level. There used to be Rabbi Rants. He passed away. He was about a 6'4" rabbi and wore a white coat, a white over, like a white over, like a
trench coat. Yeah,
so a trench coat. So he would stand out. You can always tell a Rabbi Rants. First of all, he was tall, and then one with that white coat. But everybody else blends in. I mean, it's
so he was
I'm always fascinated.
So he was like the
beard.
He was like the Cam Newton of the crew.
Cam Newton. I mean, it's just that he's over the top. I mean, it's crazy what he wears. But they can get away with it.
Mm-hmm.
See, those athletes, African American athletes, can get away with wearing that. A white guy wears that, they put him away in jail.
But the beards are the crazy part to look at because nobody, I don't know if people understand this, but Chabad rabbis, not only like obviously they all have beards, but they don't do anything to them. They don't trim them.
Some roll them up.
Well, I'm okay, but they don't cut them or trim them. They're just natural. They've never been touched. So some do roll them up, and you can tell. Roll them up. But you will see the craziest, longest, widest, all ranges of color. Like it's crazy.
I had a thought about that. I think what you need to do, I assume you don't do this. What you need to do at the next convention is everyone should get their beards measured, and then you should figure out what is the length. No, well, you could do that too. But I was thinking, what is the total beard length of all the shlochim around the world? And so you could say the total beard length stretches from Crown Heights to Philadelphia.
Crazy.
I'll tell you, it's an interesting. I mean, I've been going to this for like 40 years. Not every year do I make it, but this has been going on since the mid 80s. I think the first one was maybe 84. So you're talking about like 40 years of shluchim. I mean, the first one was a small little group, took a picture downstairs in 770 on the bleachers. Maybe 50 people were there.
Yeah.
Now you look at it, it's just wild.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, I mean, I'm not boasting, about Chabad. I'm not one of those rah-rah guys that Chabad is everything and everything is Chabad. But it is impressive to see all these, and especially the young guys.
Yeah.
It's predominantly young people. I mean, guys like me are in the minority now. I mean, it's just young guys from all over the world. And I can tell you one thing over the weekend, there was no like self-pity, going on. There was no like, oh no, what are we going to do with anti-Semitism? Oh, it's so bad, anti-Semitism. You didn't hear anything like that. Mm-hmm. You just heard, what? We are the Rebbe Shluchim and we are going to take over the world and we're number one and rah, 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 rah. Mm-hmm. And I think there's something to be said for that, even if you're not really delving into the real heavy issues, anti-Semitism and Israel and Hamas and all of that stuff. You don't. There was one session on how to deal with anti-Semitism. One session,
right?
Of the whole.
Right.
But even that was on a Friday afternoon when, like, I don't know how many people actually attended it. But you don't hear,
right?
You don't
There's
hear
no
that
angst,
in that room. You come into the banquet, and they have what they call spontaneous dancing. They do a roll call of the entire world. And it used to be that used to announce like every country and the shluchim would get up, but it just got too big. And after Rabbi Kotlarski, the senior, passed away, now they just do it like, in Africa, this is what we have. 1,100 Chabad houses, 1,200 mikvahs, Everybody from Africa, please stand up, shluchim. Shluchim from Europe, shluchim from Asia, shluchim from Australia. And at the end, there's spontaneous dancing. They have this song, and the whole place just erupts in just one large. They don't make us like, if they have 5 tables, will make a circle. That's an incredible thing, because there you see that joy, the happiness, the fervor of these people. There's something to be said. There's something to be said about that.
It's interesting because I think you and I, are on the more cynical side often of the conversations.
Right.
And, I know for myself, I go to a lot of conferences, and I now not only participate, but I also get to like sometimes present and lead. And, I often roll my eyes, or I feel like, kind of cynical towards the conversation. But what you're saying really resonates with me, because sometimes, especially when you're in a position of leadership in a community, you just need that positivity hug, of like feeling that things are going to be okay, and that we're okay, and that things are, we're growing. And I feel like a lot of the Jewish community right now, a lot of the Jewish world is like in defensive mode, feeling, completely on their back heels. They're not feeling positive, or even sort of like they don't even have like a vision of what the next steps could be to like rebuild or to grow. And Chabad, I think that's where Chabad's strength is that there's such a clear mission that no matter what's going on in the world, it just doesn't interrupt that mission. You don't have to get back together and say, let's reevaluate what we should be doing. I mean, yeah, you could talk about tweaking programming, or, adding things, or some of the bigger questions that are going to come up, as the demographics change. I get that. But there is something so comforting about having a clear mission. We're here to spread Judaism. We're here to bring joy to people. We're here to help build Jewish community. That's what we do. And that's really the strength of Chabad. And that's why you look at Chabad and it looks, like it's a growing, it not only looks, it is a growing movement that is making a real impact in the Jewish world right now. And a lot of other movements, I hate to say it, are not. They're in a defensive mode, trying to figure out how to stop the bleeding,
There's no such thing as rebranding here.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we're not rebranding. Who are we?
Right.
Who are we? We are who we are.
Yeah.
Now you could say like, look, if you broke it down into small little pieces, individuals, each guy has his own issues and his own struggles, his own challenges. But overall, when you just look into that room and you just see, thousands of these people, and are just happy to be there, and just are going away with a sense of of strength and of empowerment. Yeah. It's something impressive to see. I mean, it's something, and you can't imitate this.
No,
it's not like other movements can say, "Hey, you know what? Look what these guys are doing. Let's try to emulate these guys and see what they're doing." You can emulate the programs, you can emulate other issues, but the feeling, the sense of belonging, the sense that we are who we are and what we are, is all really dedicated to one person. That's the Rebbe.
Yeah.
I mean, no one could deny that he injected this kind of just feeling and mission driven sense, and you have a destiny, and get out there and don't ask too many questions. Don't overthink things. If you go out there and work, and we are day laborers, as the Talmud calls it, just go out there and just do. If you have to knock on doors, knock on doors. Who else does that?
Right.
The Mormons and the other guys over there, the
Jehovah's Witnesses,
J Witnesses, and Chabad. Okay, well, knock on doors and ask, "Hey, are you Jewish?" "Yes, I am. Here's a challah." Right. What? Here's a challah.
It's
okay.
There is something. People are inherently attracted, I think, to people and movements that just plant a flag and say, "This is who we are."
Yeah, and
they're unashamed about it. I'll bring this up because I know ChayaLeah won't. But there was an article in was a commentary or tablet
about commentary
about Hillel.
Yeah,
but talking about how Chabad, like it was the example was Harvard Chabad, and how Chabad's just eating their lunch, and people are going there, and even the people that Hillel in theory would attract, right? Those people are still going to Chabad. Because people like to join organizations that have a purpose, like a clear purpose and a clear mission, and they're not ashamed of it, and they're just unabashedly are what they are. And I think that's the big thing. That's the thing that I admire about Chabad so much, is that you just walk around the world just very visually Jewish, and you just are what you are, and you don't worry about, maybe you worry about Israel's policies, or you worry about who's elected to this place in New York or this other place and whatever. But at the end of the day, those are all just sort of side issues when you have principles that you stand up for and you just are what you are and you believe what you believe.
Yeah.
And I think that's why people are attracted to Chabad over some other organizations that are sort of wishy-washy about who they are and what they represent.
And again, it's not to most of these guys, I mean, the vast majority, it's not a job.
Right.
You don't make a lot of money. You're not really going to become a millionaire doing this. This is a life dedication. So if you're on campus, like what we saw that little video, and a student is sick, the Rebbitzin is going to run with chicken soup to her.
Right.
I mean, who does that? You come into their home. You bring them into their home. We've always talked about the idea that there's something that our supporters, even though they have a lot of money and they have all these great things that they're doing on vacation and skiing in Aspen and going to France and all of that stuff, but the one thing they don't have is this family that most shluchim have. Many of them have, and the kids and the warmth and the joy within the family. It's just that's something you can't imitate. I mean, and I think a lot of people are attracted to that, even though that they themselves may never be able to say, I'm just going to be just like them. I'm going to be completely observant, and I'm going to send my kids, away at 14 to New York to yeshiva. And most people are not. But this kind of authenticity, this kind of just pure joy that these people are living. People want that, especially in a world where everyone is walking around with just. How many times you heard the name Mamdamni over the weekend? Zero.
Right.
I didn't hear the name one time over the things.
Right.
No one was worried about him. No one said anything about him. There weren't sessions that say, "Oh, how are we going to combat him?" All of that stuff. What's going to happen? You know what? We're just going to do whatever we have to do. We're going to get out there. We did our voting. We did our duty. We want the community council said vote. The New Yorkers all voted. This is what Hashem wants. This is what's going to happen. Yeah. We're going to be around long after Mamdani is long forgotten.
I do want to defend Hillel for a second, because that article was a hit piece on Hillel, and I'm not ashamed to say or shy to say that there are good points in the article and things that we should be, talking about. And I'm going to actually be on, the CEO of Hillel is starting a podcast. I'm going to be one of his first guests. So I'm going to address some of those issues with him publicly. But, this is from my perspective as someone who works with college students every day. The students, just like a lot of adults that we see, are looking for comfort right now in the world that we live in. The world is so uncomfortable, and things are flying in their faces day and night that are just complicated and complex, and they don't have big families. They don't have good groups of friends. They don't have the relationships to comfort them. And when you walk into a Chabad and you see the mommy and the daddy figure and the kids, and you're in a home usually, or if the building, it's still very homey, the food is homemade, cooked by the Rebbitzin, there's something so comforting and comfortable about that. And more than any nuanced and complex conversations that we want to try to have with our students, all they want is that warm hug of comfort. And I think that that's why right now in this moment, students are very attracted to the Chabad model, the same way that regular adults are attracted to it. When people come into Shul by the Shore, I see they give my father a hug. They give my mother a hug. Why are they hugging them? Because my father is such a big Talmud Chacham. He's such a big genius. Yes, it's true. You are, but that's not why they're hugging you. They're hugging you because they are comforted by you and your physical presence and your warmth. And that's what they're looking for. And if the other Jewish organizations don't understand that, it's going to be difficult for them, because right now, young college, yes, there are some who want to have those complex conversations about, Zionism, but 95% of the students don't want to have those conversations. So you have to show up with the way the students want and need you. And that is really as a family and a comfort and a hug in a world that just feels very lonely, and that's what Chabad's really good at. And I'm impressed with them.
And you can have those conversations. They can have those conversations anywhere. Right. They can go to TikTok. They can go to Instagram. Yeah. They can go on their college campuses. Like, those conversations are not difficult to find.
Yeah.
But I think to your point, having a place they can go where that's not relevant, and and they can feel proud about who they are, and they're with people who are sharing a similar experience. I think is really important for everybody. And just this case happens to be Jewish kids,
right?
But I think it's for everybody.
I think what Chabad has done, and I think, I don't know if this was done intentionally or this is like a sidebar of what we believe in, is it gave a sense of pride in a time when we're so worried about Judaism and where Judaism is going and what it means to be a Jew. And we're on, like ChayaLeah said, we're totally on the defensive. To last week, the week before the rabbis came into Crown Heights, there was what we call a pagisha, encounter with Chabad for college students. 2,000 college students came from across the country. The theme was gishmak zu sein a Yid. It's great to be a Jew. I mean, think that just for a second.
It was shocking.
In today's day and age, it didn't have the word Zionism. It didn't have the word Israel. It didn't have the word anti-Semitism. It didn't have the word combative. It didn't have the word angst. It didn't look how we're going to overcome all of our difficulties, not October 7th. All it said was, this was the tagline, it's gishmak zu sein a Yid. It's just pleasurable to be a Jew. Gishmak means like when you're eating like a good a good sandwich. It's azoy gishmak. It's so pleasurable. It's pleasurable to be a Jew. And you saw 2,000 kids Saturday night all jumping up and down, screaming and singing. Gishmak zu sein a Yid. Gishmak zu sein a Yid. What is it?
To be.
Oh, okay, to be. But
gishmak to be a Jew.
Gishmak to be a Jew.
Gishmak to be a Yid.
Okay? And they were dancing and jumping, and you just didn't see the outside world penetrating here. And for that little while, these 2,000 kids that were the majority non-religious kids were just having the time of their lives without having to worry, about, someone's going to rip off my mezuzah and this and that.
In Hillel's defense, there are many good people who are working extremely hard, doing extremely good work. And I don't want to just sideline them, because it really is true. And we have to acknowledge, I think it's important to acknowledge that for a lot of students, Chabad is not going to be comfortable, right? If you grew up in a very egalitarian reform home, you want to be in a place like that. If you, some people who, from the queer community, whatever, there are other people who are not going to find their comfort zone in Chabad. And Hillel does a really good job of making spaces for those communities as well. I don't want to just criticize them, because there's a lot of good coming out of Hillel, and including things that I'm working on and trying to do, and one of the things, and maybe we could, I don't know if we want to move on, but one of the things that there was a study that Hillel just did that's going to come out soon, and I was in a meeting about it. They surveyed, over 1,000 Jewish students, and, about identity and belonging and all this stuff. And one of the interesting data points that I saw is that almost 50% of Jewish college students today identify as right-leaning or conservative politically, which is a very big shift for liberal Jewish communities, because, for many years, the assumption was that Jewish students were extremely liberal and progressive. And I think a lot of the Jewish institutions were built around that model. And it turns out that almost 50% are not, right? And when you start to break down the demographics of young Jews today in America, you start to understand that a lot of the Jewish kids are from Persian homes, Russian homes, Israeli homes, Orthodox, right? There's like all these growing communities where they tend to lean more right. They tend to lean more conservative. And so places like Hillel and JCCs and the Reform movement are grappling with how to, to grow the tent so that those communities are also seen and like made space for, because for a long time they weren't. And now, especially after October 7th on campuses, a lot of students are like, they want to be in places where they feel comfortable, and politically. So I'm just bringing it up because the Jewish community is dealing with a lot of sort of changing realities, and changing demographics, and all of these things make a difference when it comes to who's showing up at your Shabbos dinner. It really does.
And again, here's again something that Chabad says to themselves, why?
Right.
Why interview 1,000 kids? It's good to get a demo. Yes, it's good to get an input from what the kids are. But again, your programming is never going to be tailor-made based upon these 1,000 interviews. Chabad comes with this thing. Look, that hasn't changed on campus. Take, for example, Ann Arbor. Ann Arbor is one of the first Chabad on campus outreach movements. It was Rabbi Goldstein. Today, Rabbi Goldstein is already probably retired, and his kids are there.
Right.
I'm telling you that the same thing that was done in 1985 by Rabbi Goldstein is done by his kids and by his grandkids. The same chicken soup, the same things. Now, of course, they may be more sophisticated in using a computer and reaching the kids through whatever WhatsApp or whatever the circumstances are. Yes, the technology, of course, has gone, but the same feeling of walking into the first building with Rabbi Goldstein Sr., who came from New York, with this old station wagon with his 8 kids, strapped in your seatbelts, and drove into Ann Arbor, not knowing where it was, and opened up the first Chabad house. The same feeling is there because the mission has not changed in 50 years. The mission has not changed. Right. And there's something about consistency and not tailor making it like exactly, we're going to now shift our programming to fit this small little demographic that's moving. And that's another reason. Now, whether that's good or bad, that's you can judge for yourself whether you like that or not. But because the mission has already been established and it's just keeps going over and over from generation to generation to generation, there's consistency there. And that seems to be working.
Well, just to put a point on this, you started as a Chabad rabbi on campus,
right?
In 1981
Correct,
or whatever.
Correct.
And I was in New York last week for Shabbat in the Lower East Side, and I met someone at the synagogue I was at, which totally random, not Chabad shul. I didn't know anyone there except I had one cousin there. And this person knew my father and mother from her time at college in Boston in 1983 and 84. And she remembered you guys, and she had fond memories of time she spent there. She was describing different holidays she spent with you and meals. And, so you just see that even 40 years later, more than 40 years later, your impact,
45.
Yeah, your impact on the students then made such a difference. And it was good for me. It was good for me to see because, sometimes you feel just like, what are you doing? And what's the point? And why are you working so hard? And no one cares and no one's happy. And when I saw that, I realized, you know what? My students, maybe in 40 years, they'll remember me. I don't know.
Of course they will.
Probably not, but maybe.
Of course they will. Yeah.
Just for my unhinged rants at them about life.
But it reminds me, you talk about the consistency of the message. And there's this idea, this guy, Robert Conquest, had this concept that any organization that's not explicitly right-wing will become left-wing over time.
Oh, interesting.
And
really?
And yeah. And you could say the same thing sort of about really any overriding principle, right? You could say about Jewish organizations, right? Any organization that is not explicitly this thing, whatever it is, will shift with the currents, right? Whatever the political currents are, whatever's happening at the moment, if you're not firmly planted in a certain belief system, then your beliefs will inherently just migrate over time.
Right.
And maybe that's good in some regards, but you can't stray so far from your core that you become unrecognizable to what the original purpose was.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I think Chabad has been so successful is whatever the political currents are of the moment, who you are is who you are. And that is moored into the earth about your belief system and what you stand for. And you don't wax and wane with the currents. So I think
we're going
a
down
message
this. I'm just going to mention we're in the middle of this ChayaLeah course called the Kabbalah of Meaning. Has nothing to do with Kabbalah. I mean, they threw that in the name just to entice people to come to the marketing thing.
It's good for recruitment.
Meaning. People search for meaning. They want to have some kind of meaning in their life. And last night's lesson, it's the second of 6 parts, is all about bifurcating the idea of subjective meaning to objective meaning. What does that mean? Subjective meaning is things that you give value to. So if you ask somebody, for example, what is meaningful to you? You'll have 20 different answers. I did that to the class last week, and everybody had different. Some people volunteering. Some people liked hanging out with their family. Some people like giving charity. Some people like cleaning up the ocean. Everybody gave their subjective idea of what meaning is to them. Okay, fine. So that's one set of subjective. That's one avenue. The point of the course was that if you follow this subjective meaning, at the end of the day, you're going to have a crisis of meaning. Because no matter what you're going to be chasing, somehow you're going to think to yourself, what?
Right.
And they brought examples from King Solomon, who wrote the book of Ecclesiastes, Kohelet, where I chased everything and everything was meaningless to me. You know, I chased this, I had riches, I had this, I had wisdom, but nothing did it for me. And they brought in also an example from Leo Tolstoy, who was a brilliant author. I mean, a smart man. And in his life, during his life, he had this crisis of meaning. So what? What if I'm a famous? I'll be famous. I'll be dead like everybody else. I'm just going to die like everybody else. And he even contemplated suicide for a while. He writes until he found God. Okay, that's because of course that has
Tolstoy?
to be
I didn't know that, really?
Till he found God, and what that meant was, like, someone asked me in the class, could you elaborate on that? I couldn't. I don't know what I meant. I'm assuming he joined, the church, the Russian Orthodox Church, and God gave him some meaning. And the point being is that meaning has to come from outside of yourself. It has to be something greater and outside. And they gave one example, and I thought that was a good example. It was from, of course, from Jonathan Sachs, that you go to a football game. Now he's talking about English football. I changed it into American football, and you give a guy the rule book, and then a guy that never heard of football before, you give him the rule book, and he says, okay, you know what? There's 11 guys here, 11 guys there, and they move the ball from here to there, from there to here, and back and forth. And these 11 guys try to stop these guys, and you keep the ball moving a little bit. And if you cross this arbitrary line, which they made up 100 yards, you get points.
Right.
Okay. And the guy knows exactly, he studied the rule book, knows all of the rules. And then you bring him to a game and you sit him down and you sit him in the stadium. And there's one thing that he will never get over and cannot understand, even though he is knowledgeable. And you know what that is? Why is that crowd getting excited?
Right.
I mean, you have 11 of these big guys against 11 of these other big guys, and every move is a moan, it's a groan, it's 80,000, yay, crying, middle-aged men weeping at the end of the game, like little kids with bad. That you can't explain from the rule book.
Right.
I mean, as much as you understand the game, you will not understand why 80,000 people and millions more across America are hanging on to every little bit of that game. And he looks at you and he says to you, why? I get the game, but why are all these people so excited?
Could you explain why a yeshiva student would leave one yeshiva to move across the country to another yeshiva just so he could watch that game for 16 Sundays out of his whole year?
Okay, and then so there the point being, Jonathan, Dr. Sachs, Rabbi Sachs explains, is because the excitement comes from outside the game.
Yeah.
It's not the rules of the game.
Right.
It comes from outside of the game, and the same thing is true about meaning. So when the message is that, hey, you know what? Look, for us Jews, there's the Torah, there's mitzvahs, and that's what King Solomon ends Ecclesiastes with. That the bottom line is, have awe of God and follow his commandments. That's his advice to his kids. But it's the same thing is true about the message. If the message comes from we're an organization and we're going to try to come up with a message that's going to tailor-made to fit our constituency, it's not going to work.
Right.
There is a message already within Judaism. We already have the message. What our job is going to be is how we bring that message to the kids.
Yeah.
That's how we bring the message to the kids. And the kids see that. And there's something authentic. Now, is a kid going to immediately start putting on tefillin, keeping Shabbos? No. But because the message is brought with joy and fervor and excitement, and every Simchas Torah is Simchas Torah. You see a certain joy. Purim, the rabbi gets dressed up in a stupid uniform. Even though he's 65 years old, he comes dressed up as a pirate with one eye. I mean, and the kids are all dressed. That's something. That message. Is the football game.
Thing.
That's why it's right. Intangible. That it's the joy that's exuded outside of it.
It's interesting you're saying that, because I was in a meeting this week. There's a woman I work with at Cal State Long Beach. Her name is Daria Graham. She's the senior vice president of student life, and her father is a he just passed away. He was a Black preacher. So we often talk about being the daughters of, a daughter of a rabbi. She's a daughter of a preacher. And we talk about sort of the things that we have in common. It was really interesting. And she said something this week in a meeting because somebody at the meeting was complaining that her 3-year-old, it's a story, but I'll get to my point. Her 3-year-old has learned how to fast forward through commercials on YouTube. And she's really upset because it's just like, giving her daughter this sense that you don't have to wait for anything and you don't have to have patience.
Instant gratification.
Yeah, everything about instant gratification. And so she was saying that she stopped her from doing it, and she has to watch the commercials in order to watch the rest of her show. And Daria made a really good point. She said, the truth is your daughter doesn't have to watch commercials. They're not necessary anymore. She says, what you need to think about is how to teach your daughter patience. It's not about making her watch the commercials. It's really about how do we get a 3-year-old or a 15-year-old or a 45-year-old at this moment in time to actually have patience. That's how educators and parents and leaders have to think about the problem. It's not about bringing in the old things and say, here, you have to sit and watch this commercial or you can't watch show. It's not going to work, And it's the same thing about what you're saying. You can't come with a prescription for how to find meaning in your life based on, things that maybe worked for you 10 years ago. You have to think about what is going to actually bring meaning to these kids. I don't know. I think these are hard questions. How do you teach patience? How do you teach someone how to find meaning? I know we as Orthodox Jews, we have a built-in mechanism, but then I think about my kids and I'm like, I don't know. Do they find meaning in wrapping tefillin every day? And is that I think it's good to have a practice and doing it, and I'm happy they do it, obviously. And
that's discipline.
It's a discipline. But when we talk about like finding that meaning and finding the way to like really alter our behaviors and our consciousness, like I don't know how to do that anymore. I don't know. I don't know if you have an answer, but just throwing it out there.
We already have the answer. The answer is the built-in system of Yiddishkeit.
Right.
That's built in. Now, what you do with that, that's your business. I mean, the answer is there, clearly in front of us. It's worked for 3,500 years. It's gotten us through the thick and thins of existence. We've been up, we've been down, we've been down, we've been up, we moved sideways, we moved sideways. We've been everywhere, the Jewish people. And the one thing that's been consistently there with us and through it all has been the strength of the Torah and our dedication to it. Now, were people in Europe thrilled, living these amazing, meaningful, purposeful lives full of joy? Some yes, some no. It was tough. Life was tough, being there. But the one thing that we did have to hold on to was this community of people that are with us, that are going with us, that are moving forward with us. And you see in Israel today, Israel was built on a secular society. Completely, the early Zionists were they not religious, they were anti-religious. They hated religion. They wanted to eradicate religion. I mean, there's stories after stories of kids being brought from Yemen and Iran and Morocco that were literally put into these schools, these Zionist schools that were just ripping them out from their culture. Look at today. Look at today in Israel. What's going on? Today is this is 75 years later. Every place you go, there's yarmulkes, there's strolls, there's people coming back to religion. Not to say there's no secular people in Israel. There still are secular people. But there's a revival of religion when everybody asks the same old question. After the Renaissance and after the Enlightenment, when science and technology and other forms could answer all the questions that religion once had. Religion talked about, creation of the world. We don't need God. Stephen Hawking wrote a whole book, How We Do Not Need God to Explain to Us the Creation of the Universe. We can explain it scientifically, how it went and where it went. And this Charles Darwin explained to us how we evolved as human beings, where it came from, why. You don't want to believe it? Don't believe it. But for the secular person, we have all these answers to these things. Today, if you're sick, you don't go to a shaman and he does a prayer for you. I'm not talking
today,
about you go to a doctor. You go to a doctor. If you have issues, you go to somewhere else. You want power, we have guns. We want all of these things. So so why is religion growing? Why is the Bible still the number one best-selling book around the world? The answer is there's 3 questions that science will never be able to answer. Who am I? Why am I here? And how do I live my life? That's it. Who am I? Science can't tell you who you are. You have to figure it out. Why am I here? Science can't tell you why. Science is random. It's a random. You were born to two parents randomly. There's no purpose of you being born to these two parents. And how to live my life? That's also something science can't answer. So that's why, as much as these guys like Charles Dawkins and Christopher Hitchens and Sam Harris will pontificate about atheism, bottom line is these three questions they cannot answer. That's the bottom line. They try to. They say, well, we're inherently moral people. Really? Yeah. We're inherently moral people? That makes a lot of sense. And like Jay was saying, if you don't have a grounding, you don't have a good foundation, you're going to end up meaningless, floating in the air like nothing, like nothing. So
I love those three questions.
So those things need to be answered, and no matter how much you're going to study Darwin, and how much you're going to be enamored by Einstein and Hawkins and all of these guys, the scientists and brilliant people they were. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they showed us how the universe works. It's fantastic. From the smallest atom to the largest black hole. But this should give us an appreciation of what Hashem did. Right. I mean, think about how God, minutely made the world and everything like that. And that's where I think if you come with that attitude, and you come with that message that, like, we have already the message, we just need to know how to implement it, how to bring it in, is it going to be through chicken soup, or is it going to be through a brilliant lecture? Is it going to be a trip to Crown Heights, or is it going to be Purim dancing? Right. That's the only question that remains to be answered. The message we know. Interesting. Go forward with the message. If you need to tailor make it to your specific constituency, of course, you're not gonna, like we daven Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur differently than I would daven when I was a kid. Right. When I was a kid, came Rosh Hashanah. It started 8. We went all day, no announcements, no English, English. Just today we try to tailor make it into a little bit of more, applicable to our constitution, our constituencies. Right. But the message is still the same. The message today is the same as it was when Moses lived. This is how we have to live. This is the best way of life for a Jew. Gishmak to be a Jew. Always be proud of being a Jew. Sometimes it's going to be difficult, but you know what? Ultimately, you're not changing. Right.
Oh, wow. As we're going through that soliloquy, or I guess monologue, so many thoughts came to my mind. But a couple things in particular. One is, so what you said about happiness versus meaning, and the idea that you have to find meaning in your life. That's one of the big messages of Jordan Peterson, right? Jordan Peterson says you shouldn't wish for your kids to be happy, and of course, you want them to be happy. Yeah, but you can't set your sights on them being happy, because nobody is always happy, right? Our happiness, are the chemicals in our brain are always firing differently. And, some of the richest, most famous, most privileged people in the world are also some of the most miserable people in the world.
Absolutely.
But purpose is not that. Purpose is always there. Yeah. And so you should not wish for your kids to be happy. That should not be the overarching thing you want for your kids. You should want them to find meaning and purpose in their life. And because that is, we talked about sort of having a center and having a belief system that's moored to something, right? The meaning and purpose of your life is mooring. Happiness is not anything you can moor yourself to. Right. It's not a center for how you live your life.
It's good to be happy.
Yeah.
It's nice to be happy.
But it's fleeting, right? I mean, every day we wake up and we feel a little bit differently, right? Some days we're happy, some days we're not. And a lot of times we can't even explain why our feelings are what they are. They just sort of happen to us. Right.
It's true.
But so that was one thing I was thinking about. The other thing I was thinking about was on the fifth column this week, they interviewed Sebastian Junger. Do you know Sebastian Junger, Rabbi?
No. One of my absolute favorite. I recommend his book all the time to everyone, and I'm so happy. He wrote
The Perfect Storm, which is probably his most famous book. But he's written a bunch of books.
His
since
best
then.
book, if anybody wants to read his best book, it's called Tribe, and it's just I've read it a few times because it's a short, small book, and it's extremely important, and it's all about how we are responsible one for each other and how that brings me. Anyway, go on. Sorry, I won't go on. I could go on for 2 hours.
Yes, no, we should do that for a book club. Actually, that'd be a good book. But his most recent book is, so he had a near-death experience, and he, after this experience, he's an atheist, and he admits it, but he wanted to go out and understand like what happened to him in this. He saw his father, and he saw this like
while he was like unconscious or whatever. He like saw his father who was dead, like welcoming him, and to take him somewhere, and he's like I'm not going. I love my dad. I'm not going there. Like, I want to stay here. But so he started to explore this near-death experience thing. And he said something that was really interesting. He said that if we all took LSD or different drugs, we would all have different experiences, right? We all experience different things, had different feelings, see different things, yada, yada, yada. But near-death experiences are amazingly consistent across cultures, across time. And he said, there's something very strange about that, about the fact that we can take drugs, like, exogenous drugs into our bodies, and we'll all experience them differently, but we don't have different experiences, near-death experiences. They're amazingly consistent. So you would think if that is just like taking an exogenous drug, if it's just chemical reactions and there's nothing else happening, why would that be any different than anything else? Why would the chemical reaction from being close to death be different than all the other chemical reactions that we experience in our lives? But it is different. There is consistency. And so he said, I'm still an atheist, but he said that's very strange that there is that is a consistent human experience.
It is strange, but I've always been a skeptic about near-death experiences, simply because I believe when God says that I put laws in nature and the laws of nature stay pretty standard. I mean, in order to have a real near-death experience, if in a spiritual sense, where you actually saw someone from a different dimension, like if your father actually came to see you, even though what you're saying is true, Jay, that it's pretty consistent, except the fact is that people will always view the near-death experiences with experiences that they've had in the past. Like, no Jew will experience.
This is it from Christopher Hitchens.
Muhammad is not coming to welcome you at your near-death experience and say, Salam Alaikum, you've finally seen the true light, come up. Or you're not going to have like this Buddhist experience with the Dalai Lama showing up. Pretty much you're going to see a light. It's going to be either Abraham, your father, Moses, some guy is going to welcome you to heaven. So that kind of tells me that even though there's consistency there, it's still pretty much subjective to the person that's on the table.
Don't blow it out of the water for us, okay?
No, I'm not saying it's not real, but I have to question the idea when people claim that they're in the ceiling and they see themselves like on the operating table and they can read the serial number from the machine, which is of course in the back of where they are. I just have to. I'm just a little skeptical that
I love how the skeptics are okay with the near-death experience, and the religious person is skeptical about the skeptics' near-death.
No, because why is this individual person who is like a nobody? Let's be honest. He's not a saint. He's not Moses. He's not a prophet.
He's a perfect human being.
This individual guy, God somehow decides that this guy, he's going to break all of the rules of science, of nature, and allow this guy to somehow unconsciously.
No, but maybe he was dying.
So he is. Goodbye. So die.
No, but there's such a thing as being between life and death.
But you're not. But you're not experiencing something that's outside of a natural thing. I mean, you're not going to tell me that a guy is going to have his consciousness is going to float up to the air, separate itself from his brain, right? So now he's
How do you know?
Because God doesn't do that.
No.
Because God doesn't do that. And you're going to tell me that he's going to be able to read the serial number of a machine that his body is not there. No, it doesn't work that way. God doesn't break.
But in in the movie Ghost, he's in between.
Yes, he is. In the movie Ghost, yes, he does come back. And he could move a penny. He learns how to move a penny up and down the wall.
In between this
and
world
and there is Whoopi Goldbergs that hear these people. And in The Sixth Sense, Bruce Willis comes back to help this kid who sees dead people. Okay, I mean, that makes that.
So I guess this is where I struggle with that. Is I think we all know sort of the difference between like the brain and the mind.
Yeah.
Right. Like the brain's a physical structure, and the mind is sort of who we are and our perceptions of reality and those types of things. Right. And so, like, we know the structure of the brain, like generally, we know like what the parts do. And we generally know if you stimulate this area of the brain, you get this response, and this other area of the brain, you get a different response. But we really have no idea about how we experience the world, where that actually comes from.
Well, Judaism will say it comes from
it's a soul thing. Anyways, I have to run.
In the middle of this important conversation,
I'm gonna let the two of you guys, you kids, hash it out. You two kids can hash it out right now.
No, we're gonna finish this on the next episode. What do you mean? You're not off the hook. This is a weekly show.
And then you tell me exactly what was decided, and then we'll put it in writing. And that's going to be the end of the discussion. We'll figure it. I'm so sorry.
You know what? We'll finish this conversation on our live Zoom show that we're going to do with our subscribers. So
great to see you guys.
If you want to finish the rest of it.
I'm gonna
bye.
Go.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us on this episode. That was an abrupt ending. Yes. Hold on. I think
it's
okay. I'll see you, Jay. Sorry.
I mean,
but I told ChayaLeah it's going to be a hard 1 hour.
I know.
I feel bad now that your dad's gone that we're going to have to prove him wrong and he can't fight back. But
I don't want to get in between. I don't want to be between my father and Sebastian Younger. I feel very uncomfortable. But anyway.
Oof, it's tough. Who would you choose?
I don't know.
I mean,
I'm a big Sebastian Younger fan, so this is a tough one for me.
Yeah.
But anyway,
so do you want to talk about Thanksgiving now?
Yeah, this was supposed to be a Thanksgiving episode, but I think we got a lot out of this conversation in other ways.
Yes, yeah, for sure. So we're going to have all sorts of advice about when your crazy cousin comes over and wants to talk about politics and nobody else does. How do you handle that? So
yeah, I know.
I guess you're going to have to navigate your own way through the holiday this year because the rabbi's gone, and I guess we're we could give advice. I mean, what is?
Do we have
what
advice?
Special knowledge? What special knowledge does your dad have that we don't have? I mean, really.
I mean, I agree. I think I have better advice, but I think listen, it's a tough time right now for some people. It's like the holiday season comes around, and I think like people get lonely, they get sad, they start questioning everything about their lives. And I just think if I'm going to give one piece of advice for right now, I would say find people to be with. Don't be alone. Go out of your comfort zone, even if it means picking up the phone and calling someone who you might not feel as comfortable doing this with, but like reaching out, say, hey, do you have any plans for Thanksgiving? I'm alone. I'd love to join you or whatever, or come over, just get out of your comfort zone and be with someone. Don't be alone, or be with multiple people. It just don't wallow and say, look at me. I have nobody. That's just the worst. Just get 100%. Out of your comfort zone and reach out. That's my big piece of advice. What's yours?
Mm-hmm. Don't talk politics.
Yeah,
true. There are many other things. Yeah. Read a book, watch a TV series, whatever. Everyone coordinate. Everyone's going to watch some series. Yeah. Everyone's going to read some book, whatever. Just there's so many other things in life to talk about than immigration policy or
Trump
whatever. Trump or Democrats or whatever. Just don't talk politics. It's not because I'm going to disappoint a lot of people out there. Your fight you're going to have at Thanksgiving over politics is not going to change one single thing.
Yeah.
So all it's going to do is ruin your relationship. So just don't bother.
I would go one step further and say, even if you're in a place, like if your family, everybody agrees, like you're all progressives or you're all super MAGA, don't talk about politics either. Like, enough. This does not have to be our entire world. And I think our kids and young people and young adults, like they deserve to have conversations that don't revolve around this stuff. It's not pleasant. It's just so toxic. And I just don't think we need to talk about it all the time. Just avoid it. It's just not that important. There's so many other, like you said, there's so many other things to talk about. And I just, complain about books and movies and talk about, I don't know, even talk about other people. Sorry. I know we should say don't gossip, but like it's better than talking about.
Talk about ChayaLeah. ChayaLeah loves when people talk about her behind her back. But so you should definitely
only good. I don't want people criticizing me. I can't handle that.
Well, I mean, you can't. I mean, I can't control everything. I mean, come on.
I can send you talking points. I can send people talking points if they want to talk about.
Okay. All right, then in the Substack description, we're going to send out what talking points you can talk about ChayaLeah at your Thanksgiving dinner.
I like that. I like that.
If she happens to come up.
Just
okay.
not. I'm really bad at like when people talk badly. It's not. I can't handle it. So anyway, they could talk about you. You don't speculate about your life.
That would be the shortest, most boring conversation anybody.
The number one question I get by far about this podcast, by far, not even close, is who the heck is Jay? Who is he? What's his story? I get that all the time. So feel free to speculate.
I'm a man of mystery.
Yeah.
I take time between my Mossad my Mossad responsibilities and I do this podcast when I can find the time.
When you have time.
Yeah. But Mossad has sometimes I just have to say, look, I have other stuff. I got to do this podcast, so I don't have time to spy on Egypt right now. I gotta.
I mean,
the Jewish people need me in a different way.
Were you part of the Mossad agents who were tracking Erica Kirk for 2 years? Were you on that plan? Because I'm sure that was top of their.
I cannot confirm or deny that.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, you're so lucky. If you do not know the connection between Erica Kirk and the Mossad and airplanes from Egypt, I am jealous of you because I wish that I could rewind my life and not know any of that. That's what I wish. So
there is a way to not know it. There is a way.
I know. Just don't have X. Don't get Twitter. Whatever you do,
or any
don't get Twitter.
Any social media.
But especially, this is like especially, I think, a Twitter. Like I don't really see any of it on other social media. Like I'm on Instagram. I don't see it on Instagram. But maybe because my algorithm on Instagram is different, but I don't see it.
It's all about the algorithm.
Yeah.
It's all about the algorithm.
Instagram, my algorithm is cooking. It's like nice, it's all cooking stuff. I don't know. Israeli soldiers exercising. Like that's what I can handle on Instagram.
That's all right.
Twitter is a different story.
Anyway. So I guess one last thing ChayaLeah mentioned, we're going to be doing our first Zoom for listeners, probably the first week of December.
Yeah.
Is that where we're going to do it?
Yeah.
So we'll send out on, if you don't subscribe to us on Substack, you should sign up there. That's where we send out all of our episode updates, and we'll send out the notification about the Zoom at that point through Substack. So sign up there. And
the reason that you should come to the Zoom is because my dad will be there, and it's an opportunity to ask him questions. And if you want to, challenge him on anything or challenge any of us or ask us anything, just a good way. And my father, I know he's not here, so I can praise him. I hate praising him in front of him, but he's a really good rabbi. He's a really exceptional rabbi on different levels, like not just knowledge wise, but life advice. And he really does give the best answers to like things that people are going through. And so if you just want to come and chat with him and ask him stuff, it would be a great opportunity. So join us.
Or if you feel the need to just thank me for my good advice and opinions in person, that's that's an acceptable reason to join the Zoom as well. So
you can ask Jay who he is. Tim set his face. Anyway.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
All right. Thanks everybody. We'll see you.